Hey, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here today. We're very excited. Hey, before we get started, we wanted to let you know if you have any questions during our webinar today, please use the Q&A section. We're going to do our best to answer all of those today, and if not, we promise we will follow up. I want to introduce myself. I'm Jen Smith. I'm the Director of Member Experience at Essence Healthcare, and I'm here with our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Saria Sacoccio. And Saria, why are we here this morning? Why is balance so important?
Jen, we're here for a really important topic, balance. And thank you for everyone who's registered today. This is one of the most important topics that we're going to cover this year. Why? Because balance is something we need every day of the week. Balance is what keeps us upright. Balance is what keeps us from falling, and it helps us build strength for further activity and vitality in all activities in your life.
You know, Sharia, I recently read a stat that surprised me. It's 1 in 4 adults over 65 each year fall, and it's the leading cause of both fatal and non-fatal injuries.
And it's true. Jen, this data came out of the CDC, 1 in 4. And of course, we're talking about ages 65 and above right now, but this includes all of us. We know we're all at risk for a fall, but not only are we at risk for a fall, but what concerns me as a family doc is that half of the time when people fall, they don't even mention it to their primary care doctor because they don't think it's a big deal, especially if they didn't fall and hurt themselves. But I'm here to tell you, Jen, if you've fallen once, there's a double the risk that you'll fall again.
So, Saria, let's talk about that a little bit more, and how can we take care of ourselves at home and personally? How can we power ourselves up so that we're not at risk for balance issues?
Jen, it starts with a checklist. I love a checklist for so many reasons. In fact, my own mother takes her checklist in, and before she sees her PCP, Mimi meets with her daughter to make sure we've got everything covered. There's so much to consider, and that's why it's helpful to write it down or put it in your phone because we can forget, we can get nervous, and there's a lot of homework and prep work that we can do on our own. So first of all, the question I ask Mimi is, Mimi, when was your last eye exam? An eye exam is so important. As we know, our vision helps us see if there is a crook in the sidewalk or if there's something on the ground. It gives us a better idea of what we're looking at. But the one that oftentimes we miss, and why I want to make sure you add it to your checklist, is hearing. Did you know that hearing impairment or deficiency increases your risk for a fall?
Did not know that.
Yes, and it is so true. So these two things, you want to make sure your vision's up to date, your hearing's up to date. So that annual check-in or ask your PCP if you're due, that's really important to start. Now, the other thing that's important to remember is be a good detective. Inside your home, outside your home, and everywhere you go. What you want to look for is that rug that may be loose, or we all have these charging cords now all over the house. Maybe we have extension cords in our garage or other places. So important to make sure they're tucked in, out of the way, or visible so you can see where they are. And when it comes to outside, you want to make sure you're looking out for that sidewalk. If there's a board that's sticking up, make sure you have a handy person who can help you repair that and get it fixed. You know, one thing I haven't mentioned yet is I want you to do a check in your home. Oftentimes it's the bathroom, or it may have other rugs throughout the house. You want to make sure that they are slip proof. Otherwise, you can slip right out underneath that rug. Rugs are infamous for causing our falls, again, regardless of your age. So that's really important. Also, form-fitting shoes that fit your feet. Tennis shoes are the best. You see that Jen and I have tennis shoes on today. Really important to make sure your feet are safe. Whether it's a backless slipper, a flip-flop, because we're in season, Jen, you got to watch out for those flip-flops and those sandals that we're not used to using. Even dress shoes, sometimes they can be pointier than others and longer. So it may be a different stance than what you're used to. This should be a part of your checklist. Have you checked out your closet to make sure you have the appropriate shoes to avoid falls? Not only that, I want to make sure that you're looking over your medication list. Bring in your medicines to your PCP or write them down of what you're actively taking, because there are some medicines that can impact your balance. We're going to talk more about that in just a moment, so you're prepared of what to ask in the exam room. But another one that I want to answer, and oftentimes is left off the list, Jen, and that is strengthening exercises. Many of us will do mobile activities, whether it's walking, it's swimming, there's all types of different ways that we stay active, but strengthening exercises, at least 2 to 3 times a week, helps us out and maintain our balance and our proprioception. Or proprioception, what that means is knowing where your body is in space. So you know where your hands, your feet, your whole entire body is located. Proprioception is really important and should be a part of your checklist.
So, Dr. Sharia, you talked about the exam room.
Mm,
You're a practicing physician, right? You see people, you work through this on a regular basis. If I'm a patient and I've had some balance issues or I've had some things of concern, talking to you, talking to my doctor could be hard, could be a little
mm,
bit uncomfortable.
mhm,
I'm going to
mhm.
ask you a couple questions like I was coming in to see you to help see if we can make this a little bit more comfortable because asking the questions isn't always the easiest thing to do. So, if I've recently fallen, how can I prevent that from happening again?
Great question, patient Jen. I love role play. So this is a lot of fun and something I do with my mother before she goes in to see her doctor. Because you're right. What oftentimes happen is maybe we get nervous or there's so much on our checklist that we can get confused or forget to cover the important topics. And this is really important as we go forward. If you have fallen recently, a way that you can approach this with your doctor is tell them. First of all, start with, I have fallen. What can I do to prevent another fall? That helps guide your PCP into a list of things that you can do to prevent, like the checklist that we covered. That's just a start. But a simple question of what can I do to prevent the next fall? Ask the question.
Another thing, what if I came in, I was just feeling unsteady?
Jen, if you're feeling unsteady, the first question I'm going to ask is about your medication list. First of all, I'm going to check in my computer. I want to see what medications we prescribed, but then I really want to know what you're taking. Whether it's a prescribed medication or something you get over the counter, this is really important. Most people don't realize that a drop in your blood pressure just by standing up increases your risk for a fall. Also, you could be taking something as simple as Benadryl. We take Benadryl for a lot of reasons, or an antihistamine that can make us sleepy. Anything that makes you drowsy can impact this. So the question is, can you take a look at my medications to see if any of these listed are perhaps causing a problem? Or what about the medications I take over the counter?
And I know we talked about in our checklist our hearing and vision, but if I was going to be concerned that I haven't had that checked, and maybe that was playing a factor, is there a good way to kind of bring that up and have that conversation with you?
And I'm so glad you asked that question, Dad, because there are a number of questions we're thinking about with every patient who comes through the front door and in the exam room. So I love it when a patient comes prepared and asks, what am I due for? What do I need? Make sure you write that down too. Am I due for my eye exam or my hearing? Should I have that tested?
Great. That's super helpful, Surya. One more that might be worth us talking about is really if I just don't feel steady, whether it's
Mm.
going up steps, whether it's getting in and out of the car, if I'm just feeling a little unsteady, is there another way that can help ease that conversation with my doctor?
Yes. And I typically know when someone asks this question, about their fear of falling because we know people who are afraid of falling are also more likely to fall. This is a great segue in. It's a prompt for me as a PCP to say, oh, we need to talk about a lot of things. How confident are you feeling? Let's do an assessment and see what that looks like. That's really important too. I want to take a full picture of what's going on with the patient who's sitting in front of me.
And I know sometimes other things that can lead into other conversations like vision, like hearing, is if
Mm.
we're maybe feeling urgency issues with needing to
Mhm.
use the restroom and we're getting up and down quickly. What if that plays a factor?
And Jen, it does often. So what Jen is referring to is the get up and go, if you will. And what I mean by go, that means running to the bathroom. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night with this urgency to use the restroom? Or perhaps you've had a cough lately, and a cough can create that issue. Some people will stand up rapidly and try to get to the restroom. It's so important to make sure the lights are on, that you take your time and you stand up slowly for all of those reasons. But if you're having urgency with urinary issues, that's something so important to talk to your PCP about. In fact, what I suggest is before you leave the room, ask the question, Doctor, I'm having some urinary urgency. What can I do about that?
Great. You know, at Essence, and as you all who are participating with us today are members of our health plan, we have benefits to help and to support you with your balance, with exercise. And one of the great benefits that we have is our Silver Sneakers benefit. I'm sure most of you have heard of it, are familiar with it. It's one of our most popular ones. And it includes a lot of things. You get free gym memberships at a lot of the local gyms. So you can find a friend, go to the gym, hit up that treadmill. If you're interested in things like that, a lot of these gyms have a lot of classes that are personalized to the senior population, water aerobics, chair exercises, things that are meant to make you feel comfortable, make you feel safe, work on things like balance, Tai Chi, a lot of those exciting classes. Sometimes going to the gym can be a little intimidating. Sometimes it's hard to work it into your routine at any age, right? Physical activity,
Mhm.
exercise, like we all want to do it, but it's a little bit hard sometimes to get into motion. So another great thing Silver Sneakers has is online courses. You can take them live with a live instructor or even on
Mhm.
demand. So one of the great things that I hope you guys all look into, take advantage of, it's again from the comfort of your own home or with a friend, a spouse, another person that you know has Essence can go with you. So those are some great things that can help. And I think we have some right now opportunities to teach you how to work on balance.
Jen, we do. And for our invited folks this morning on our webinar, we're going to walk through a couple of exercises. Just a couple of the things that I want to say before we start our balance break is I love your idea of going with a buddy, whether it's another Essence buddy, perhaps it's your spouse who goes with you. It can be intimidating. I was talking about Mimi just a moment ago, and I asked her about this. She did Silver Sneakers courses in the beginning and went to the gym, and I said, Mom, why don't you go anymore? Well, she moved and she moved to a new neighborhood, a new area that she wasn't as comfortable. So I know that can play in. In fact, I reminded my own mother, Mom, go to your benefits,
Yeah.
take a look at the website, and you can do this at the convenience in your own home too.
Yep.
And you mentioned that, Jen. I think that's really
Yep.
important, but to think about when it's convenient for you. Maybe the class was in the morning and you're more of an afternoon person. Find a way, but do it every day.
Yep.
That's important.
I had the same conversation with my mom. She's a member of Essence. She's been on the plan for a couple years. And what's still on her to-do list is to activate Silver Sneakers and to go start hitting up the gym. So I know we all think about it and it's always hard to get started, but it really is the right thing to do. You're going to feel good. It helps with your mental health. It helps with
Mhm.
your physical activity, all the things, you know.
And
Motion is, what do they say?
motion is lotion.
Yeah.
And speaking of activation, why don't we do it now?
Okay.
So, a couple of thoughts, and as people are thinking about the questions they have from our webinar today, please send those forward. And in the meantime, Jen, I'm going to walk you through a couple of examples.
Okay.
So, the first one is what we refer to as PCPs is get up and go. So, there's an exercise that we do where we watch very closely. As simple as, how did you stand up from the seating chair? Yes, perfect. I love how you did that, Jen. What I can tell is you've got great balance because you didn't have to push off. It is okay to push off though. Do what's most comfortable because we don't want you to fall. And as PCPs, this helps us see where you are. So we're going to stand up. And there's now another test I want to do. So the go part was I would have watched you walk, but for today in our webinar, we're going to move on to our next exercise, which is just as simple as raising one leg. So if you're steady, Jen, and for folks who maybe try this at home, it's okay to balance with a chair. Perfect. Okay, one leg. And I could tell you were getting a little bit unsteady.
Yep.
So here's why. Starting at the age of 50, it's so really important to begin to focus on that word proprioception as it starts to change. Our bodies change over time. So you stood up and you put your one leg out. Let's see if I can do it with falling over. It's okay to be a little shaky. Move your leg out and hold it. Can you do it? Move your leg in and then down. So this is a great exercise to get started, even for folks who are more active than standing in place. It's a good place to start, and it focuses on your core and strengthening the work that you do. Another thing you can do is a lunge. Do you know how to do a lunge, Jen?
I do.
Yeah, so a lunge, why don't we try our left foot?
Okay.
Yes, our left foot. So we're exercising both sides and just leaning forward and steadying yourself. Yes, and hold it for 5 seconds at least. You can do longer if you're good at this, and then step back. Now, these are exercises you want to use on both sides of your body, really important. And there is a wealth of information with the Silver Sneakers website.
Yes.
I was looking at all the exercises myself, trying to do them myself. In fact, I ran Mimi through some balance exercises the other day. It was so helpful to see how my mom is doing actively. She's in her 70s, and it gives me an idea as daughter, because your kids care about you and your loved ones who are around you, but especially have this conversation with your PCP.
Yeah, great. All right, I think we have some questions. So we did ask you guys before when you joined the webinar in advance if there was any questions you wanted to let us know. Some of you were wonderful, sent some our way, so we're gonna run through those real quick.
Let's do it.
Okay. One of the questions we got: what are most common causes for falls in older adults?
There are a number of reasons. I'm going to go back to a couple of things I said earlier.
Yep.
We got to make sure our vision's up to date, hearing's up to date, but the lighting. As I mentioned, sometimes if we get up in the middle of the night to run to the restroom, turn the light on. You think you know you're home, but here's the other thing. Our furry pets, our loved ones who get underneath our feet, turning on the light before you get up, or looking down to see where your furry friends are so that we don't trip and fall over them. Those are a couple of reasons. Our shoes, making sure the shoes are comfortable, they're safe, they don't slide off your feet. Also, really important reasons.
When do fall risk become a concern?
So here's the thing, Jen. Most often we wait to talk to our PCP about concerns until it's a real problem. So the first concern is annually. Every year as your PCP, I want to know, how is your fall risk? Are you feeling unsteady? Let's look at your medications. All of those things are important. Don't wait till you fall. Even if you don't hurt yourself, that's a concern. But every year we should be asking this question. This is why we exercise. In fact, this is why we brush our teeth every day.
Right.
To prevent issues.
Prevent. That's right. That makes complete sense. So we just talked about exercises. How often should we be exercising? How often should we be working on these things to help us be in that prevention mode? Nobody wants to get hurt. Nobody wants to be feeling like they can't do the things they're used to doing. So how often should we be incorporating this?
So many answers to that, but I'm going to keep it simple. Jen, all activity is exercise. Oftentimes we think in order for it to be called exercise, it has to be a workout. Maybe it's at the gym. Maybe it's not. Everything you do makes a difference. So what is recommended, 150 minutes a week is what we should be doing. Divide that up throughout the week. Strengthening, though, we know doing strength exercises 2 to 3 times a week also helps prevent falls and increase your balance strength.
That's great. Okay. Well, I think I'm just doing a quick check here to see if we have any other questions from the group. Here's one that came in. What if we're not, it can be if we fall, but we're not getting hurt. I know this kind of layers into some of the things we were talking about, but if we're falling, but we haven't got hurt and we think we're okay, we still want to have that conversation. We still want to look into what we can do to make our home a little bit safer, ourselves a little bit steadier. I think we've kind of addressed it, but right, that just kind of plays into anytime we're feeling these things. Keep that conversation active, engaging.
You're absolutely correct. And listen, I think about high blood pressure. We don't wait till we have a problem with high blood pressure. We check it regularly. I want us to make sure we're doing the same thing. If you have fallen, even if you didn't hurt yourself, talk to your PCP about it. In fact, call them and let them know you need to be seen. We want to prevent the next fall, and let's be preventive about this conversation.
I think we have time for one more.
Oh, great.
Tied a little bit to our benefits again, which what types of services can our doctors provide to help us that are above and beyond exercising? I'm thinking maybe physical therapy, things like that. Are they
Mm.
covered? Do you need referrals? Like, how does that work with Essence?
I love this question because, for one, it's a conversation I have with my mother all the time, how confusing and complicated healthcare can be. First of all, at Essence, we're here to help. So call us and we can guide you. But most importantly, the first step is talk to your PCP. Your PCP will know what services are available without a referral, where we can help guide. And this is really just to keep our PCP in line with what's going on so we can best support you. That's what's most important here.
That's great. Okay. Well, I think we have just about run out of time for today. So I think we had a few more questions that came in that we didn't have time to get to. So we will make sure we send those out to the group and follow up. We are so excited for your engagement, your participation, and showing up for today. We will, when the webinar ends, you guys will see a survey pop up. We would really appreciate it if you gave us some feedback on how you liked this today. Would you like more of this content? But thank you for joining. We hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.
And Jen, this was so much fun. Thank you all for participating today, and we can't wait for the next webinar.
Bye, guys.